want to clear something up before we continue. Our argument on the phone, which led to the infamous.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
Kyra. It was not about Amber.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Everyday Husband Quotes, the channel for marriage advice, marriage entertainment, and everything else marriage. Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Here we are. So, Ron chose Alexis, which was expected. That wasn't a surprise. KG chose Amber, was expected. AJ said Kyra, which
as expected,
wasn't a surprise. Now, oh Lord. Let's do it. When Joel said Kyra, I'm not gonna lie, y'all. When I found out about it, I was confused. Joel, let me be clear, because
please clear this up.
There have been other interviews by other castmates saying that Joel and I had dates on camera, Joel and I had dates off camera. Joel and I did not go on any dates by production on camera. Joel did, as V said, he was friendly. He did have a routine of like calling the ladies in the morning and like just checking on us.
He does that. He did that.
So, with everyone, I just hired.
Yeah.
So, me and Joel went out like one time off camera. And it was a, hey, call me one morning. What do you got going on? What are you up to? Oh, I'm actually dropping my friend off at the airport. Oh, you're on my side of town. Let's grab a quick bite real quick. Cool, let's grab a bite. Matt, I took my friends to the airport. How I'm dressed up right now, how I will be for 8 dates. I was nice. And so we literally just grabbed the bite, just talked. As we often talk, we do not go out on dates. That was the only time that he and I had interaction outside of the show, or period, because during the show it was like at the gala and that was it.
Yeah.
So,
I know that.
But he and I did have phone conversations, as he did with many people. Now, when I left that date, I called Verneashia. Not because she's territorial, not because of anything like that, but because I respected their connection. And for me and Joel were just cool, and I didn't want her to find out about us having been out and thought that like, okay, now, because I never talked about Joel, never. So I didn't want her to hear that we were kicking it. It's like, well, you never talked about him, so that looks sideways. So no, and then lo and behold, I didn't even know it. Joel, when they talked later that day, he
told me,
So,
he would tell me a lot, like if he was going on dates, whatever would happen. I never asked. This is how not controlling I am. Even when I knew he had dates, I would never ask, who are you going on a date with? I would never ask what happened on the date. He would come back and share it with me, like voluntarily, because maybe something happened that he felt like shouldn't have happened, or he just felt like sharing. Now, he didn't share everything with me, let's be clear, but most things he did, they never do. But most things he did, it was nothing with me being, I didn't even share my dates with him. The dates I had, it was really nothing, so it was nothing to talk about. I didn't kiss on this show. Like, that's a big deal for me. That's just something I'm not supposed to be kissing people who I'm not connected with. And I wasn't connected with anybody like that.
Again, I don't know why he mentioned my name over the other ladies. All I know is that Joel and I did have a good conversation. I
didn't like that he kissed Amber. Yeah, not because somebody just said that. I didn't because me and Joel hadn't shared a kiss on camera. We had kissed, but not on camera. So why would you share a kiss on camera with somebody else and we're spending all our time together and we're connected? To me, that didn't make sense. And we had already kind of said we wasn't doing that. Why would you do that? So no, I didn't like it, but I didn't make a big deal out of it. He told me what happened, and it is what it is.
I think, like I say, in that moment, not Amber, because people are like, well, why didn't he say Amber's name? I don't know why the man didn't say Amber's name. Joel and I had good conversation. I think Joel is a great guy. And let me say this. I mentioned several times before, I am about fit. What is the best fit? Joel has children in a very but vulnerable and special position. Their mother is no longer with them. I don't have children, and it's one thing to date a guy who has kids, but the mom is still there. She's still an active role in their life. They don't have that void. But to come into children's lives, and if we're here ready for love, then eventually the relationship is going to get there. So if I know that I'm not even ready to go in that direction, why waste my time? So, and I'm not saying waste my time as in he's not a good guy, but we are not the best fit for each other.
So very early on, Kyra was like, y'all are a better fit. I'm going to stay on this side and do her thing. And that's just kind of who she is. It had nothing to do really with me. It was more who was a better fit for her. And Joel wasn't a better fit for her. And as our connection grew,
it was clear.
It was clear to everybody.
Like, me too. So, Joel was tripping. And when I found out about it.
She found out before I found out.
You can't get to that. Y'all
gotta see. We'll go live again next week.
Y'all gotta keep watching the comments. But when I did hear about the deliberation, the fact that I knew it was so left, I didn't even call Joel to be like, hey, you chose me, let's explain. No, I was like, this is tripping.
She was pissed.
I was like, this is tripping. But anyway, hey, guys, how are y'all doing? Let's have a talk. I focused my attention on who I had a connection with. When it was some nonsense, I don't give it any energy.
Yeah, and that's why, I don't know, people try to play on that though. They try to play on that, but
So
yeah.
David and I actually had 3 group dates on camera.
I was at one.
She was at one.
Yeah, I was at one.
There were 3 group dates. And then there was also a one-on-one date. And my one-on-one date, I don't know if it's going to be shown next week or not, so I don't want to say too much. But I do just want to say that, yes, David and I did go on dates during this experience.
I did.
David and I talked on the phone. David's also in real estate, so I did go to his open houses and kind of just see what it has going on. I'm also an attorney. My legal partner is in real estate, so hey, let's see what connections we can make here. David and I did go on dates on camera that you guys have not seen. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of frustrated. I'm like, that's not portraying the entire story. For example, at the date where you saw very early on, where it was Alexis and Jason and AJ and Liz, and they're playing cornhole, I was there as well with David, and Stacey was there with KG. So that was one date. There was another group date where you can actually catch part of it on the OWN's YouTube page, where we went out and played basketball. And David and I were he did spend most of the time with Liz on that date, but he and I did also get some time to communicate during that date. Then we had our own one-on-one date, which I don't really want to speak on too much.
Yeah, y'all just gonna wait until they show it.
And if they don't show it next week, then I'll definitely go more. Or if they don't show it whenever, then I'll go into more.
But to answer your questions, they did date and talk a lot off camera.
Okay, so I will also reiterate this. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. My top 3 were always Jason, AJ, and David. And AJ and David at one point actually flip-flopped.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna just.
So that's why. Let's go.
Somebody said David has 4 kids. Yes, he does.
David does have 4.
So this is my issue with the person who has children. 1, do you want more children? 2, can you afford more children?
That part.
3, what is your relationship like with the mother of your children? And if all those 3 answers, are to my liking, then I don't really care. If you have, and I'm not gonna lie, 4 is probably the max. So
I don't care how many you have. Just don't want no more with me. I can still have kids though. I just don't want them. My kids grown.
Okay, so let's get in. Now with David. To be honest, when David said my name, I wasn't surprised.
No, at all.
We did have dates. David and I had conversations. I knew how he felt about me, but I never not once told somebody a false narrative.
David said your name when we was all out on that double date.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. He
accurate. We literally had to ask, just as the cast, it was 4 of us there, and I had to ask if he had to, who was his number 1 at this time, and Kyra was sitting there. He said Kyra.
And who did I say in response to that?
She still said AJ.
No,
she still said Jason. I'm sorry. I'm a little tipsy off my mind. I'm sorry, y'all. She still said Jason. She never said AJ. But
she she's fired.
Yeah, I'm fired. But no, she still said Jason. She did not.
So even when David
we are hilarious.
Know what his connection was with me, and I was honest. Like David and I did have a strong connection, but I had a stronger connection with somebody else. So that's why, like, y'all have heard me say all the time, like, who would you leave with? And up to this, through the process,
she said Jason the whole time. Even when David said her, she still said, "Well, I'll leave with Jason."
I'm not gonna lie.
Still Jason. Like, she did not just say that because he said her name. And that's one thing about it.
Why I wanted to point that out is because I've read some commentary where they were like, "Oh, Kyra must be telling everybody else behind the scenes that she's."
We gotta talk about this phone conversation with me and Joel.
Yes,
go ahead.
Somebody said that Kyra must be telling them that she's choosing them. Not once, not one time, except for the person that I really was choosing. Yeah. I was very honest, and I really think that one thing about the two of us is that we were honest, we were upfront, we focused on quality conversations. Because David made the comment like, "Well, how much time is Kyra having a day?" The same amount of time you have, but what type of quality type of conversations are you having? And that was my focus. And some people didn't have all the time great conversations because it led to.
I was a little surprised to hear that I was clingy, even with the part with them with me saying that I'm territorial. So that was edited.
Well, I want to comment on that. Yeah. Even with you saying that you're territorial. Because people have to understand like dating phases, and this was a very fast pace, like very fast. Yeah. So V knew kind of from the beginning who she would fit well with and who she wasn't a good fit for.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm like that in real life though.
And I totally can see that.
Yeah, I'm like that in real life. I'm not gonna even play like I'm gonna date someone that I don't feel like that's right for me and my children or just a right fit for us at this point in my life. I'm too old for that.
But what I wanted to say more so was that with saying you're territorial, like, I think that you were in the mindset of like, this is who I want to be with, and so you did give Joel space to date and pursue it.
I did.
That was not an issue.
I did. It was never an issue for me.
But I understand like when you're dating someone and you know that that's what you want, like you're like, you were not saying in this space today you're territorial.
So,
but when you get in a relationship, like you don't like to share.
I don't. But that wasn't the conversation. That wasn't. So the question that was asked to me that they don't show. She kind of was asking, which they did, but they kind of edited out. We know what they do. My words. But it was kind of like, so how do you feel about him being so friendly with all the other women and calling everybody baby and this? And I was like, well, I don't like it because I'm a little territorial. And that's kind of how that was said. It wasn't like, oh, I'm territorial about Joel. No. If I'm passionate about you and I really like you, or I feel like this is something that we can build and grow, of course I'm territorial about what we're building, right?
Protective.
I'm protecting of it. Maybe better term
would have been protective.
Yeah, I'll take that. But
I will say, when I'm in a relationship, even though I know we're not in that space yet on the show, we're building to that space.
We were not in a relationship at this point, so let's be clear on that.
But no, I will often say, like, if I'm dating someone, like, I am territorial.
Yeah, it's like, no, this is mine. I'm his, and this is what it is. So let's talk about this conversation that me and Joel had prior to this deliberation, right? So no, the conversation was not about Amber at all. We was already past that. That had been like a week ago. It was not about Amber. Me and Joel actually had a conversation about miscommunication on his behalf, not mine. We were supposed to go out to dinner one night. He was filming late. When he finished filming, he was supposed to call me so we can go eat. I had been waiting maybe 3-4 hours. When I finally did reach out and call him, Joel was headed home. Like, he said he had to go pick up a friend. Something happened with one of his friends, lost a wallet in his car, something to that nature. But I got a little upset because I was like, well, you never even called and told me anything. I could have been gone to go eat. He was already headed home, and I called him a bad communicator. That's all it was. And I was like, you know what? You're a bad communicator. That only struck a nerve because that wasn't Joel's first time hearing it. Let's be clear. His communication sometimes is a little off, either with text messaging or just being valid about what it is that we're going to do or not do.
But ladies, and men too, anybody, if you make plans with someone, then it's no problem with plans changing, but just
communicate that. And he felt like, oh, if I didn't call you, you should have known that the plans had changed. And that's not how this works. How do I know that if you didn't call and say anything? No, you should have communicated that with me. Well, hey, B, this happened such and such, and I got to go do this. That's fine, but just to have me waiting, it wasn't cool. And that's where our miscommunication came from. And the next morning, when they did the deliberation, he decided to go and just say Kyra off of that. And y'all will see that. It's going to be said. Like, that's the honest to God truth. It was never about me being mad about the kids. He threw that girl in there because he just did. And he goes, he says that in his interview afterwards. It was nothing like, it wasn't on my end. I wasn't controlling. I wasn't mad. I wasn't aggressive. I wasn't clingy. Mm-hmm. It was because of him. Like, as fine as Joel is, he made mistakes too. And that's just what that is. We all make mistakes. Nobody is perfect. You know, so it's just a process of trying to get to where you're headed and where you're supposed to be. And that's what it is.
So I think we have some questions.
So first one, Vern. Joel said that you gave him red flags early. What red flags did you see in him, if any?
The miscommunication.
That was a fair question.
So the red flags that I gave Joel is that I'm big on communication. Maybe I'm an over communicator, right? If I feel like something is wrong or you're just not being transparent with me or just being valid, to certain things, I'm going to speak on it. Mm-hmm. And I was very careful on how I handled Joel. Mm-hmm. I never mistreated him. I never mishandled him because I knew that his situation was delicate. Mm-hmm. It was, and it still is. Yeah. So I never talk crazy and this and that. Like all the things y'all think that I am or what I used to be, I am not. Like I know how to handle myself. I know how to treat a man. I know how to communicate. My red flags from him was he needs to work on his communication skills. That was all that I seen. His red flags is I over communicate. I'm gonna ask everything because I want to be very transparent about what it is that we have going on or what we don't have going on. And if you don't talk to me, I don't know how you're feeling.
Somebody said, I think all the men were drunk at this.
They drunk or high or something.